Scoundrels web series and podcast is filmed and recorded in their ship, the Centurion Vulture, and may contain language not suitable for all. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Scoundrels, y'all. We are broadcasting from the ship that doesn't look like much, but has got it where it counts, the Centurion Vulture. I am CG.
I am Paul Bannister.
Curtis Wayne Millard standing by.
We are three grown-ass men gathered once again after a bit of a hiatus to discuss everything and anything Star Wars. We are, in theory, here as a preview episode for what I think most people who are going to watch this know, which is that Ahsoka, 2-episode premiere next week. Have a couple other smaller items that I think we want to touch on just for fun. But
fun and games.
What do you guys think? Do you want to go into Ahsoka first, or should we start with the sort of smaller items and then work our way up to the topic at hand? Anybody have a feeling?
CG, what are you feeling, dude?
Ahsoka, it's like, well, I want to correct something. I know I was wrong about the timeline in the last episode. I was assuming that this series, because I don't look into too many things, because I don't want to see too many trailers, because they always give too much away. So I've been kind of like, because I'm so nervous about this series, that I've been kind of like avoiding things intentionally, so I'm not have any, pre-thoughts going into it. But, I mean, it's an obvious thing that it is Rebels. It's basically a Rebels live action series.
This is Filoni's fucking, wet dream, basically.
Yeah.
So I assume, so I assumed it happened before A New Hope, and then, of course, we know that this is after Return of the Jedi, kind of in the Mando era, before the New Republic and all this stuff. But it's like, I know I was wrong, but I don't feel like I should be wrong, because...
Wait, this is after New Hope?
This is after, right? Isn't that the thing?
Fuck, I don't know. I wouldn't know Ahsoka, she punched me in my face.
I thought you were right, CG. I think you're... Isn't it? But, I mean, first of all, clearly... somebody nerdier than us needs to tell us what the fuck is going on. But
I believe it's like in the Mando era, like the after Return of the Jedi.
That's what I thought was the case, right? Because Thrawn is like the rise of the like a new empire is rising or whatever.
Before Snoke, I guess. After Empire, before Snoke, because Rebels ends in the same year A New Hope begins. So basically where Rebels ends. But the thing is, it's like what annoys me, and I think it's our argument, and you sent that great article about Ahsoka, is, so we're going to have this series after Return. So where were these cats during the OG trilogy? Like what the hell?
That's my biggest problem with it.
It's my biggest problem, and I have
9
a big
movies,
problem with it.
And this person's name wasn't mentioned once.
No.
Yeah, I know.
And
I agree. That's my concern. It's no secret that I'm probably the most cynical about some of this newer stuff coming out, but that is my concern, that it's going to be really hard to accept that we have to... It basically is asking us as fans to go back to the trilogy, the original Star Wars trilogy is the reason we're all sitting here talking about
Or even the prequels, if you're into that shit.
Yeah, totally.
Honestly.
You're right, Kurt. You said it best, Curtis, when you said 9, because of all 9 films... It is asking us to go back and just pretend
9 times
like that these things were happening in parallel and they just never came up at any point.
No.
That's going to be tough to make sense of.
Yeah. Well, dude, between episode 2 and 3, her whole fucking everything basically happened. In episode 3, you don't say anything about her. I mean, I know why you don't, because you made her up later, but
after.
I mean, shit like that bugs me, man.
Yeah.
Paul, you said it best. It's like, it does feel like my storylines when I was a kid with my action figures. I'm like, I'll take like a G.I. Joe character and be like, oh wait, Darth Vader's dead. And I'll use one of my G.I. Joes and be like, this is the new villain.
Yeah.
Right.
and he's bigger and badder and he's cool.
He's big. Look at these muscles.
And Yoda's got a mech suit and fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, I always despite the way it probably seems, if you've ever listened to this podcast before, I do genuinely want to be fucking geeked out, blown away, so stoked every time.
Oh, man.
I really try.
Remember when that Force Awakens trailer came out, y'all?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was an exciting time to be
It
alive.
That was a great fucking time, dude.
I guess what I'm
there
getting
was
at
hope.
is I'm trying to save space for this to be done so well and feel so good.
Yeah.
And for all the things that we've said, it's like, kind of sometimes without the Force, the spiritual center is gone in these Star Wars series.
We
blah, blah,
will
blah.
get the Force.
Yeah, and we're going to get the Force. There'll be fucking lightsabers. So
a whole bunch of it.
I want it to work.
Yeah.
I'm not a Filoni guy. I think
No.
I'd be more ready to make that space and less nervous if it was anyone other than Filoni at the helm of this one. Because I
I
just
don't
doesn't
like
seem
hating
like
on
the
him,
guy.
but I'm not a Filoni dude either.
I know. He's a prequel
Well, I know, like-
guy.
Yeah. Well, I know these cartoons are supposed to be, but like I would be more interested in Ahsoka series being like in the prequel area. We're trying to try to
Yes.
create this story of who
Yes.
this person is. So now we're after Return
But they
of the
probably
Jedi,
covered all
after-
that ground with all those
Yeah.
damn cartoons, though, right? Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's the thing.
It's a
like, I don't
minefield.
watch those. Yeah,
But
it's a
CG's
minefield.
right, but that's the point. Turds like me don't watch that shit. I mean, I know that, to be clear, I know that there are many, many fans that do. I know that I might even be in the minority at this point. But I do think it's an objective fact that those animated series are not universally accepted or viewed by all Star Wars fans. So if the idea is the depth of
I'd
this
like
show...
to know the age cutoff on that.
Yeah, like if you're supposed to... If this series has... The emotional core assumes that you've been along for the journey so far and you've watched all those series. Maybe you can understand the events of this series without seeing it. But in terms of like your emotional attachment to the Ahsoka character is dependent on watching the animated series, then there's going to be a section of the fan base like me who may otherwise think this isn't poorly made, but I don't care about Ahsoka emotionally because I wasn't there for her whole story and I didn't care to watch all that. And I'm with you, CG, for all my shitting on the prequels. I'd rather they just go back and make a live action version of some of the stories they told in these series and just put
Where
it
the hell
on
did she come from?
Yeah, let Rosario Dawson run around with Hayden Christensen and we can learn about how that all went down and why she left the Jedi Order and from what the Jedi Council said that you can't be a part of this. I only know that from just what I've gathered online. But that to me, selfishly, because if they did a good job with that, that's my new prequels. I don't have to ever watch. I can continue to pretend that those movies didn't exist, but now I have this other series that might create that. But clearly, that's not the choice that was made.
No, I mean, because I was surprised because I think someone corrected me because, like, and it's so weird. I say this every time because Rebels is such a big thing, and I guess it happens in the same year as A New Hope, and they always talk about Luke in the original trilogy being the last of the Jedi, that there's no one else, and no one else is even close.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I'm looking at this Ahsoka trailer, and all these cats have been around this entire time, and there's just Jedis and Sith guys and whatever, just fucking wielding lightsabers. And then you got like Han Solo saying, "I've seen everything in this. I've never seen anything about any Force." Or it's like, are you kidding me?
Totally.
Like they made like the cartoons and these shows make it seem like it seems pretty evident that it's pretty alive and well. And
I
it's
liked
just,
it when like Jedis were kind of rare.
Yeah.
And, few and far in between, and you'd be like, if you ever came across one, it'd like be the equivalent of like maybe actually seeing a wizard. But man, we're old school cats, dude.
Yeah, but we're not just. That's true. First of all, we are fucking old school cats.
Yeah,
I'm,
we're old school.
okay. I'm the guy wearing a
I'll eat
compression
that.
sleeve
I'll eat
because
that.
my arms can't take things. We are old cats. However, having said that, I do think that the
got
whole
tendonitis.
narrative of the original trilogy is based around the mythology. It's like the Jedi are almost like a myth. That's the way it was always presented, as this.
Yes.
Oh, I remember stories of the Jedi. The Jedi were, but it's not commonplace because they're so rare. And you're right, CG. I have questions about that too. So, based on the
space
trailers,
whales and shit.
who are all these? What appear to be Sith?
I
Who
have
are
no
they?
idea. I have no
so
idea.
so these characters
I don't
aren't
have
in any of
space
the
for like
animated
another
series?
fucking spin-off.
I have no idea. The only thing I know is that someone said that if you notice, their lightsabers are orange, which means they're not quite good, they're not quite bad. But honestly, of
They're
who they are,
orange?
Yeah, I guess someone asked the questions, and Filoni was like, "Oh, that was a good pickup. You noticed? Yeah, they were orange."
For
and
God's sake.
but
I don't.
but we're also dealing, with Disney.
Keep fragmenting things and like making things more and more complicated. I understand that like everyone's like it's a big universe. I'm like, dude, this is a fucking fairy tale. It's a myth. It's a monomyth.
It's a big universe.
Keep it
But
simple.
where were they when it counted?
simple-
When the fate of the galaxy, the Battle of Yavin was happening? Where the fuck? If it's like if there's such big characters, where the hell are you?
Also,
where are you?
so what do I?
Yeah, you don't
Again,
want
I
to
guess I
fucking
gotta
pitch
let
in
go of
on
this.
that.
Yeah,
Do I-
yeah. I think that's the problem.
In case there's
Like
anybody
this
else
dude Luke's
who
around
watches
and you don't
this-
want to help him.
Yeah, in case there's anybody else who watches this that's like me, is there anything that you guys know that I don't that feels like it should be essential information before watching? For example, do I need to know anything about Admiral Thrawn before I watch this series?
I actually
Because
don't know a ton.
as
about
far
it.
as I'm
I
aware,
did watch Rebels though.
at the end of Return of the Jedi, the Empire is largely in tatters. The Emperor's dead. Vader's dead.
Yeah.
The Death Star's destroyed. I'm sure you can imagine there's like fragmented pieces. And for all we know so far, they were fragmented pieces. Eventually someone gathered them in time under Snoke. And I guess, right, the Emperor wasn't dead. Whatever.
He was behind it all.
But is the idea that Thrawn was a part of the Empire the whole time during the OG trilogy?
No. So where Rebels ends, which is right before A New Hope,
Okay.
Thrawn and Ezra, who is the missing Jedi, what happens at the end of Rebels? So Thrawn was like the number one stunner for the Empire
Right.
before A New Hope, according to Rebels.
Not the Emperor.
Not the Emperor. Well, no, Emperor was there, but he was like basically like
Like the number one officer.
he was just number one officer.
Okay, so the Emperor was there. He's the boss, but this guy is like number 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, Vader
So
would
at the-
probably be number 2. Sword.
Yeah.
But
So,
Vader isn't really
but this
Empire.
is like
He's
in
more
terms
like a
of
Sith
he would
Lord.
be a high up general for sure.
So you're thinking like pre-Moff Tarkin kind of
Yeah,
position?
well, I think he was during Moff Tarkin. I think he was higher ranked than Moff Tarkin.
Got it.
But what happens at the end of Rebels is that Ezra summons the space whales and somehow sucks Ezra, the space whales, and Thrawn in this little vortex of some sort, and they're gone. They're just gone. So, and that's how Rebels ends.
That's
So
the writing thing they came up with for Rebels?
that's their way of saying there's no more Jedi, is that Ezra, Thrawn, and the space whales go into the abyss. And that's why I remember in the first Ahsoka trailer, the girl's looking at the thing of Ezra because she's like, oh, I miss him because he's obviously gone. And I guess now it's like Palpatine. Somehow Thrawn has returned.
For fuck's sake. But does that mean Ezra's going to return?
I guess. I don't know. That's why I assumed.
This was pre
This
A New
was-
Hope.
but-
He'll return.
Yeah, I don't know. This is
there's
so.
no way
it's
they're gonna
so
fucking-
weird. This I have been like I feel bad. I know it's supposed to be our job to look into this stuff, but I've been kind of avoiding it because
Yeah.
I'm so nervous. Because you know Disney, they don't care. They like once Disney bought the rights to Star Wars, we could throw away them caring about exactly the story and all that. They just
mythology
look what they're
and
doing to Marvel. It's
Yeah.
just show after movie after movie, and like
Is Marvel fans like bummed like Star Wars, like some Star Wars people?
I think people are getting superhero fatigue.
I did
Because
watch
it's
that
just-
last Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I started
wasn't bad.
watching it, but it's just so much. It's just
They're
all
all
the
so
time.
goddamn long.
Yeah,
I mean,
But,
as a casual observer of it, it feels intimidating to try to start watching Marvel movies because there's so many. Like, I've watched the marquee ones, and I'm generally into those movies as a concept, but knowing there's literally 25 plus of them now, it's like, well, fuck all that noise. That sounds like a work to try to
Every
figure
first
Iron
everything
Man's
out.
good.
every
Exactly.
time I go on to Disney, there's a new Marvel movie or there's a new Marvel show.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, I'm like, they're all supposed to be connected. It's like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I don't even try, and I'm worried that's what's happening with Star Wars.
Well, let's
and-
try.
Oh, that's
Because-
definitely
yeah.
what they want to do.
Should we make an attempt here? I want to try, like I said at the top, I want to try to make space for optimism. Like, what do we think could be great? What looks good from the trailers? Like, should we try to, I'm
I'm pumped
say,
about Chopper. I am genuinely.
Chopper is a badass.
So who's Chopper?
And Chopper's a droid that it was in
kind of
Rebels.
like the R2D2 of their
rambunctious, rambunctious little droid that is just full of piss and vinegar.
Love that idea.
Because I do like Rebels. I do like the Rebels characters, so I am excited about that. I am excited to see these, and they look good. So I mean, I'm not going in it negatively. That's why I haven't watched it. It's like I'm gonna go into it with an open mind and just try to take it in. But it's hard to hide my hesitations with the storyline and timeline of this. But I am excited, like, to see it. I'm excited to see a new Star Wars series, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Paul Chopper actually made a cameo in Rogue One. They're on Yavin. When they're on Yavin. He's just like rolling around out there.
Got it.
Yeah. He kind of looks like R5 a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, he's like a stubby little R5.
But shorter.
Got it. Okay. I mean, maybe there's a scenario, again, leaving room for optimism, that people like me who have no investment in the animated series, in Rebels, Clone Wars, any of that shit, maybe this works better for us. Maybe the people who love those series are going to come in here and say, well, that doesn't check out with what they did before, and this isn't what that person was like. They don't have any preconceived notions about Chopper, and I mean, I don't even know the names of the other characters that I'm watching in the trailer.
I just know a couple.
Yeah, so maybe I'm in a better position because I'm just going to take these characters as 100% new at face value, and however Filoni presents them to me in this series is how I will take them from scratch. Again, I wish it wasn't Filoni, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt, and if he kills it, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a scenario where it works the other way, where all the animated freaks are like, fuck this is out of sync, and I'm like, I don't know, this kind of rules.
Yeah.
I'm
going out with a clean slate. I'm going to try to shut off all those, this doesn't make sense, where were these people in the OG trilogy? Where were they? It's like, I have to just like, okay.
That's the challenge, right?
Yeah, I was like, it's a huge galaxy, I guess, and then I'm just going to have to shut that off. And just take it as it is, as this timeline between End of Jedi and before A Force Awakens.
I'm not gonna lie, the shots of Thrawn, it doesn't. He looks comical.
He looks kind of like he might need to get on a treadmill.
It's not. It's just the blue face thing. I don't know if maybe that works better in an animated series. But
I think it does.
Yeah, in live action, he looks like a guy. Don't
his
they know
face looked more like
Blue Man Group
fucked up in the exactly.
I might argue that the Blue Man Group guys are more intimidating.
Yeah, it's actually those guys do scare the shit out of me.
Weird.
But yeah, they didn't add any like features like in the series. Got a longer face and kind of like a more frowed brow and kind of scarier look. But in this, they just painted his face blue and gave him some contacts.
That's another concern I have in the trailer, is that everything, and this is probably a Filoni thing because this is what the prequels were like to a degree, is a lot of bright, stark colors. Like even the Mary Winstead, the actress, I don't know the character's name, the green girl or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Even she doesn't look real to me. Like it looks like it's too harsh light on overly bright colored makeup to where I look at that and I am immediately thinking about the costume department, which I think
it does look slicker.
It means they failed in my mind, because obviously we are not idiots. We know how these things get made, but if you can suspend the disbelief enough to accept the world they're creating, but with such harsh light and really bright, it just doesn't. It looks like I said it before. It looks like high budge Power Rangers.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like to my eyeballs. Again, high budge, like they spent a lot of money on it, but the color scheme looks live action cartoon.
Yeah, which is probably what he's going for. Mando kind of had that feel. You need it with season 3. Yeah.
Mando season 3 was that, but I don't know that I would go as far as to say seasons 1 and 2 had the moments, but I still feel like it was tactile, and they were maybe it was the environments they were in. A lot of times they're in dark environments, and maybe in the dark environments in the show look great, and it's just the shots I saw in the trailer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Season 1 and 2 they like towed the line pretty well. Season 3 they totally went over the line into really cartoony area, like even cartoon writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch that first fucking episode of Mandalorian, dude. It's fucking. He rolls in.
It's great.
It's pretty metal,
chops
dude.
a boy
he
in
rolls
half
in,
with
chops a
the
dude
door.
in half.
Yeah.
It made me. It gave me OG trilogy vibes. That's what I loved about Mando.
That's what everyone
It did, but it
nostalgia.
also like kind of evolved it a little bit, which is cool.
Yeah.
I'm a little bummed out about everything because Mandalorian, even though I think Andor is a masterpiece, for me Mandalorian was my favorite because it felt simple and kind of like A New Hope, a little like simple and kind of fun. Even though I love how I didn't think anybody could pull off what they did on Andor, and I'm elated that they did because it's amazing. But yeah, man, like I'm bummed because they fucking blew it on. I don't think they will fuck it up on Andor, but they did blow it on Mandalorian for me, man. I'm not excited about anything now.
I know.
No, Pedro wasn't even on set. Apparently, he wasn't on set once. That's why they never took the helmet off.
Yeah, he's out making that other.
Yeah, I think it's a really good
Last
point,
of
Curtis. That's a really good point. Because I feel the same. I think that Andor was brilliant, an unexpected brilliance that I don't think we ever.
I was
saw
not
coming.
excited about that at all.
No,
honestly, I was like, "Fuck, I don't care about who." I mean,
I
like
prefer
that dude from
Andor, but I will say that the first season of Mandalorian felt more like what I think Star Wars feels like. It did feel more Star Wars. Andor is a better made series, but Mandalorian felt like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, like Andor, like only a handful of people on the planet can do. Like that is just top notch everything.
I read the other day that Andor didn't quite get their second season finished before the strike, so it will be delayed. Unfortunately, they were
it
close.
gives it more time to think about shit. At least,
I guess they were close.
I mean, because
did I tell you guys?
It's just Ahsoka.
I think I told Curtis. CG, did I tell you about? So I'll leave the names out in case anyone, the 4 people who are going to watch this, we some folks that I work with. Anyway, the short version is I found myself on a film set for like 7 or 8 hours about a month ago, and what that meant was just sitting in a small room with 2 of the producers who have worked on tons of award-winning Hollywood movies for many years, heavy hitters as movie producers. Where I'm going with this is we started talking. We're comparing the music business to the movie business. We talked about the strike, this, that, and the other. Somehow Star Wars came up, and of course I start nerding out like I always do. And I as I was talking about it, I was like, oh, I gotta ask you guys something because you can maybe tell me something. I said I've got this podcast with 2 of my friends, and one of the biggest issues we have with all the new Star Wars stories is we can't figure out why they are not using Star Wars themes and music and melodies in any of these new series. Can you shed a little light on how these contracts work?
I hope you got answers.
I didn't, but there was an interesting side note. So I mentioned all this, and they were like, oh yeah, that's interesting, we hadn't, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's very frustrating, and I don't know what the deal is, because it's such a huge part. And they were like, yeah, that is a really important, they're movie people by trade. So they're like, you're right, the music in Star Wars is an essential character to the Star Wars experience.
New Hope may not work without John Williams, honestly.
Yeah. So I'm saying all this, and then this guy casually, one of them, he's just like, oh yeah, well, I've got this guy I know who worked on the Andor series, this guy Tony. And I was like, Tony Gilroy? He's like, yeah. It's like, first of all, your buddy is Tony Gilroy?
Yeah, that's a big fucking deal.
And I was like, wait a minute. And I was like, well, he's like, I'll ask him. And I was like, you ask Tony Gilroy. And so in theory,
and then also give him a hug.
That's exactly what I did. Yeah, so the next thing I said, and tell your friend Tony Gilroy that these were exactly my words, that he's a fucking hero to original Star Wars fans because he's the only guy that crushed it and made something that we didn't even think could be this good. And I told him, and they were both sitting there, and they were like, at this point I went full nerd, and I'm like excited and animated about it.
Yeah, man.
Like whatever, like if there was any hint of cool factor, it was long gone.
God, you just gotta take off
I'm
sometimes.
full blown like, oh, you guys, you don't understand. This was so good. It was like full blown.
Film people appreciate that though, man.
And
they love it. Yeah.
And I was like, the thing about the fact that we watched a Star Wars series and one of the most memorable scenes was a monologue where it's just an actor reciting dialogue as opposed to an action sequence is so unheard of in the world of Star Wars that he should be deeply proud of himself, and we are so grateful that exists because there's a lot of shit that's not good. Anyway, but I will say he did say, let me ask him and I'll let you know. Now, he has not let me know, and nor should he be thinking about my wonky ass 2 minutes after I'm out of that room. But I do feel like I might be able to just shoot this guy a text or an email because we spoke a lot leading up to this moment. He was the guy that like brought us into this project and the guy that I corresponded with for weeks. So it wouldn't be crazy.
Text.
So I'll send him a little note and just be like, hey man, how you doing? Hope you're surviving the strike. Just curious, did your buddy Tony give you any insight into why the fuck there's no Star Wars music in Star Wars shows?
I gotta watch it. I burn my life for a sunrise I'll never see.
It's so good.
Frickin' it's just so deep.
I thought to myself that I would save
shit's good.
the rewatching of the whole series of Andor for the second season and like just do it to where I can go straight into season 2. But now that it might be delayed, I might not be able to wait. We'll see what happens with Ahsoka. If Ahsoka's great, it'll be easier to wait. Let's put it that way.
Andor would be a good fucking rewatch, man.
Oh yeah,
because it's so dense.
And then you get those moments that it's dense, and then you get the moments where the fucking like they're hopping in those TIE fighters, and the goddamn and the thing opens up, and it's just like, well, shit.
Remember the fucking sky moment where the TIE fighters are running around, and there's like it's like Northern Lights on steroids happening all at the same time, and the fucking escape from prison.
Oh, dude.
It never felt cheap either, and I bet you money that the fucking budget's smaller on that than it is those other 2 shows where it felt cheap.
Certainly.
They just did it. They just did it right.
Anyway, that was an Andor take.
Damn, that show's good.
I didn't mean to take us down a whole fucking
No, that's a good road. That's a great story. I'm actually really pumped.
I think I meant to tell you guys that when it happened and I spaced it. And I was like, dude,
shit's about to heat up in Andor, dude, because Darth... remember that last post-credit sequence with the Death Star, man?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Shit's about to get fucking real.
So that does mean that in theory, Andor is happening timeline-wise at the same time that what? Man, my phone.
The same time as the Rebels.
Ahsoka is happening right after Rebels and before New Hope?
No, that's what I thought.
Okay, Rebels, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Ends right before A New Hope. And for some reason, I just assumed this series took place at right where Rebels left off, but apparently it's after Return of the Jedi. So basically, the Emperor's dead, kind of like we're in the Mando era, like we're right where Mandalorian is. The Emperor's quote unquote gone until he somehow comes back, and Thrawn somehow comes back after being gone with the space whales and Ezra for fucking who knows.
They're probably fucking friends, man.
Like, somehow has returned is like the new magic phrase in the Star Wars world that they can just throw.
I can't wait to see how they just. Is he just going to come back out of a space whale's ass? Just like
I don't understand. Do I need
Ace
to brace?
Ventura, Nature Calls?
What? I'm almost afraid to ask.
Dude, ask.
What do I need to know about space whales, and are they going to be relevant going forward in this series?
I mean, they hinted at them at Mando season 3.
It jumped the shark for me when they did space whales. I dipped out on space whales.
Yeah. Well, remember in I think it was like the first or second episode of Mandalorian season 3, you could see Mando they were sleeping in hyper, and you could see the whales floating. Yeah, it was. Yeah, the space whales are dumb.
Okay.
Well,
also, I had a question that was relevant to this. Now I've already forgotten it. It was something about the story in Ahsoka. Oh, right. So in theory, the Jedi Order, did they get rid of Ahsoka, or they didn't grant her the rank of master, so she was like, "Fuck y'all, I'm out"?
No, she just left. Question. I think she saw the hypocrisy in
so
the
she's
Jedi.
Just jaded and over the whole dogmatic.
Just like, I'm out of here.
Great. Kind of love that narrative for what it's worth. Yeah. But in theory, that means that she must be aware of Yoda, and Yoda was on the council. So every time Yoda is on his deathbed, the last of the Jedi will you be?
Exactly.
In his brain, he's like, well, there is hot ass Rosario Dawson cruising around with 2 lightsabers, and technically she's not a Jedi, but she could teach somebody the Force and learn how to do it,
or possibly give you a fucking hand.
Yeah.
Dude, literally. Yoda is in Rebels animated series. Yoda hangs out with Ezra, the kid who's a Jedi that can summon space whales and shit with the Force. He's like, so it's that's where it gets so diluted
Force-sensitive whales?
With all this stuff. It's like they're really it's like I don't know.
I will say on a positive note, Ahsoka was handled very well in The Mandalorian.
Oh, that was a cool ass episode.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, oh man, this could get weird, and it was cool. It was fucking cool.
Look,
Man,
Rosario
Homeboy
Dawson
from Aliens.
is a tremendous actress. She is
Homeboy from Aliens and Terminator.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hicks was in there.
That's right. She's phenomenally talented. I read some interview where she's talked about the insane training she's been going through to be like fit for this. So she's clearly putting in a lot of work. She's an amazing actress. Again, I want to be blown away.
Yeah.
And I think I just leave it at that, I guess. You know,
I guess I just hope.
I'm not excited, but I do want to like it.
Yeah, I am a little excited. Because I'm a little excited because it's been a while since we've had Star Wars stuff, and I'm always kind of excited to see. But yeah, again, like who are these cats running around with sabers and stuff? Like they don't look like they're what are they, Inquisitors? So it's like you got Inquisitors, and then you got these cats, and then you got Thrawn's back, and it's just. But I got to stop that. I got to turn that off, and I just gotta accept where it is and what's coming at me.
Yeah.
Because then we got that movie, that Filoni movie, that's like going to be...
When does that happen, and what's the timeline for that?
I think it's this... The timeline is like same as this, like Mandalorian era, before Force Awakens, after Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
Did you guys see that Filoni meme where it's like, if Andor was written by Filoni, it just has a photo of Andor, and then below it's like, if it was written by Filoni, it's like Andor, and then a ton of other crazy shit just thrown in, like fucking Grogu and the Millennium Falcon and Darth Vader. I'll put it up on the screen. I thought it was humorous. It's like the dudes from Andor like exercise restraint, and Filoni's like, let's throw in a fucking XYZ. Let's make up some shit. Let's shoehorn some bullshit here. Let's have like a Western dude named Cad Bane who is based off of fucking spaghetti westerns. I mean, if you're making cartoons, like that's the type of shit you do. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, let's party. I don't either. It's weird.
Let's party.
What about moving on? Ahsoka.
Let's move on.
It sounds like we are all largely in a similar place, right? Ahsoka. Yeah. We want to be stoked.
Excited, hesitant, but just
I want to love it. Everything Star Wars, I want to love, but
same. Yeah, concerns.
The more
are
bad
there.
things, it's just the percentage of good versus bad Star Wars is just I don't like when that's in the negative.
So the headline we saw yesterday, I didn't read any details on other than what I texted you guys, is that Donald Glover and his brother are now exclusively, as in the previous writer attached to the Lando series is off of it now, and it's just Donald Glover and his brother. Now, my thing is this. I'm done with them with these like young versions of OG characters. I think it's dangerous waters. I think I got burned on the Solo movie, and my thing is I don't even think that movie as a film was that bad. I just could never
a horrible film.
Yeah, I could just never accept this other guy and some of the choices they made with the Han Solo character. And I think what they need to learn is just leave those original characters alone. You're better off like Andor coming up with something new and done well to where we're not bringing in our baggage. So that concerns me.
Or even that Mandalorian for a couple seasons.
Yeah, that concerns me. But I will go on record. I think Atlanta is one of the best TV shows ever made. Full stop.
It's absolutely fucking genius.
It's absolutely genius. And if Donald Glover, the brilliant mind behind Atlanta, can bring that sensibility in a fun way to the Star Wars world, it's hard for me not to be stoked on the idea on the fucking brain that made Atlanta making a series. So it's is a big deal.
Seeing exclusively
and for that Solo movie, Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was about to say it's like seeing that he's just he said before, like, if I'm doing it, I want to make sure it's right. And
dude's a genius.
The guy who played Solo, I mean, you can't replace Harrison Ford, but I mean, Donald, he killed it as Lando. Like
and
that kid's a good actor. Whatever his name is, he's in the new. He's in Oppenheimer. I never ever felt like I was watching Han Solo during that movie, but I did feel like that he captured the essence of Lando.
Definitely.
Yeah, same.
Han Solo's spirit wasn't in the Solo movie, but Lando was.
Definitely.
It's almost like if they had just made the Solo movie, called him someone other than Han Solo, and just made a movie about a young smuggler type that was running around at the time.
Pull the guy from that Shadows of the Empire fucking video game.
Totally.
And then have a little one-off fucking fun story that doesn't fuck anything over. Like,
totally.
Maybe we have Darth Vader fight Obi-Wan Kenobi a couple times.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
maybe Darth Maul's not dead. Oh, wait, maybe the Emperor's not dead. Oh, shit.
Maybe
Luke
possible.
Skywalker.
I mean, fuck it,
possible.
man. They bring back everybody else. Why don't they bring back Luke? Make some fucking old men happy.
Somehow he's returned.
I mean, Luke could show up in this Ahsoka.
If that dickweed can return, Luke can fucking find a body.
Maybe is that the episode name for this Scoundrels episode? Is somehow they've returned.
Somehow, yeah, exactly, yeah. Somehow,
the motherfuckers need to stop returning. I'm actually on board with bringing the Emperor back. If they treated it like if they had some foreshadowing.
Yeah, if they had been teasing that in Force Awakens, and then
do that
instead of just like, oh, by the way, it's a third movie now, and we got to clean up a story mess.
If there's a really clever part in Force Awakens where you go back and be like, oh shit, that's what that meant.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean they could do that here with Filoni in this because that's the timeline he's working with is after the OG and before the sequel trilogy. He could maybe sprinkle in with that New Republic movie he's doing. Maybe sprinkle in.
God damn it! That's what. It's just like if it was anyone
these
other
dudes
than
don't
him.
get it. Yeah.
That's the thing.
The one thing that these cats don't get is they make massive changes off screen and then expect you to be like, and then throw you a offline like somehow Palpatine's returned, and then you expect you to accept it, or like Luke is a loser in the basement. Like, okay, I can accept that, but you basically skipped over everything that got to him being there. So I just saw him fucking whoop a bunch of people's ass and go into the belly of the beast and like take on Darth fucking Vader and the Emperor, and he turned himself in, and then now he's in the basement like drinking milk. Like, I can accept that, but you're gonna have to give me a little bit more work.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna have to work for it a little bit more.
Show me how you got
just
here.
Popping it on there.
Oh man.
Like like I did with my fucking figures at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That scene in Last Jedi. Because I was so pumped at the end of Force Awakens, where she's
damn, that was
showing the
fucking
saber
amazing.
to Luke, and I was like, oh fuck, the next. And then I was so excited for Jedi to come out, or Last Jedi. I was like, man, Luke's gonna do some fucking badass shit, and then he just throws it away. I'm like, are you what? I was so mad. I was so mad at that scene. Because I was like, oh great, finally we got Luke. He's gonna be like a Yoda, and and I think that maybe they tried to do that too much. He just never really got his redemption. He was like a Yoda that didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, that detail, and I know I'm in the minority on this because I've had this conversation.
No, man,
with
there's
lots
a ton
of
of really young people that dig that shit.
Like, I was into it only because, well, that seems consistent with all the dipshit pussy Jedi from the original. Like, no disrespect, but what did Obi-Wan do? Oh, I better run away and hide. This is scary.
Yeah.
What did Yoda do? Ran away to Dagobah and hid in a cave. So the idea that Luke, as a Jedi, runs away. I mean, these guys don't have a great track record of when the tough gets going. They don't. No,
but
fight
Luke
back.
does have a great. But Luke does have a great track record. He just rolled right in. When shit was wacky, he could have hid, but he surrendered himself to Darth Vader on Endor.
True.
Yeah.
So we spent
even
3
in
movies.
Empire where they were like, "Don't go, Luke, don't go." He was like, "Fuck you, I'm going. I'm getting."
So we spent 3 movies getting Luke to the point where he could roll up in Jabba's castle and fucking roll up into the Death Star, literally the belly of the beast. If you're talking about a monomyth, and then catch up with him a little bit later.
True.
Like,
the counterpoint is, well, Obi-Wan and Yoda won a fucking war. And they didn't exactly start as coward pussies either. They defended the galaxy and did all the protecting of all the species of the galaxy. And then when it started to get, it seems like these Jedi just have like a limit to how much they're willing to be heroes.
Those two got their ass whipped and they went into hiding. Luke got his ass whooped and he came back.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
That's the 3.
You're right.
And there's no foreshadowing.
Yeah.
You spent 3 movies and how many decades getting him to this point.
That's true.
And then, I'm okay with him getting sad and maybe thinking about killing his nephew. But we gotta. You can't do that shit off camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm laughing at us. It's like, look, he can do all this. I'm totally good with him wanting to kill his own nephew. That's great.
You know what? He should have killed that pussy.
But drinking milk on an island?
He's such a
Fuck that
bitch.
guy. But kill your family. Kill your family.
I mean, if I was Luke, I would have sliced that motherfucker in half right there. We would have had a better flick.
Yep.
Give me another antagonist. This guy's a bitch.
That would save me from having to see his bare-chested telekinesis, like sex chat he had with Rey at some point.
Oh, that was hilarious.
So yeah,
God
so if
damn.
Luke did the same thing, so Yoda and them got
We
their
always
ass
end up
handed
in
to
the
him,
same
and they're
place,
like,
don't
"Fuck,
we?
we're out of here."
It's always back to Adam
We
Driver.
always end up in the same place. We always end
Driver's
up
a good
shitting-
actor, though.
He's good.
He's great.
That
He
boy's
actually,
good.
I really
I
like him in
fucking
that
love
first
Star
movie.
Wars, but has there ever been a franchise, other than Star Wars, that has pulled in more amazing actors and made them suck more than Star Wars?
Yeah.
I mean, go
No.
through the fucking cast list. There's Oscar winners coming out of the sky, and they all end up doing wonky things in Star Wars movies.
Is there any other franchise where like 80% of it is dog shit, but like that 20%, if you include all the cartoons, when you include everything that's Star Wars,
I mean, those
there's
cartoons.
only like there's only like 20% of it that's actually good.
Actually,
Cartoon stuff is a little more palatable because it is a cartoon. You're like, it's a cartoon. What are we
That's
gonna do?
true.
But when you start doing wacky shit in real life, IRL, it's hard to like. It's hard. I don't know. But man, like I do understand Luke wanting to just go to an island.
This could be
sometimes
Just gotta roll.
Yeah, this could be a good segue. Speaking of other franchises, the other thing that we wanted to touch on, which is probably speaking for myself, the only thing that I feel like that's outside of Star Wars that seems like something we should be covering here is Indy 5. We all went and
it
saw,
does have a Lucasfilm logo on it.
That's right. We all went and saw
It's nice to
Indiana
see.
Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And what did you guys think? You guys start.
I mean,
You go first, CG.
Oh no, I mean it felt like it looked good.
Chris and
it
I
was
watched it together.
A fun Indiana Jones movie. It was long though. It was just long. And my favorite parts of Indiana Jones is when Indiana's like solving puzzles and stuff. And like those, and I think there was not enough of that. There was action sequences that just ran on way too long.
Sure.
When and I'd rather see him doing his thing, like when he's figuring out like, oh shit, I gotta step on, Jehovah. It's not gonna be in English. It's gonna be in, it's like, so it could use a little bit more of that.
That third act in The Last Crusade was fucking so good. So fun.
So good. That's my favorite Indiana Jones movie is The Last Crusade. It's
I think that's the same for me.
Me too, man. Fuck, that's a
I know we've talked
banger.
about the Facetune stuff. I just can't get into it because I know it's not real. Not that it doesn't look fantastic. I just know it's not real.
Yeah.
And it just kind of gives me the.
Well, you end up
heebie-jeebies
looking
of it.
for the one thing that throws you off, and then you're basically you're spending time like, all right, where are they gonna fucking blow it?
Nailed it.
Instead of like actually. Luckily, it was an. Well, fuck, I don't know, man. I thought. What did you think, Paul? What did you think, Chris? Are you done?
I'm done. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Curtis, I think maybe you said this, and so if you did, I'll give you credit where it's due. This was my Force Awakens for the Indy franchise, meaning
for sure.
it was good, not great. They knew that they had to kind of right the ship after a terrible previous attempt, and so it was clear they Mangold played it safe. If it was all of the tropes that you expect in an Indiana Jones movie. But for the most part, they did a good job with them. So like the little kid character was fun and interesting. Phoebe Waller-Bridge was fantastic. She is tremendous. She's a great actress, super smart. She played the part well. I gave a shit about her character. I thought the story was largely a win. The direction was largely a win. I agree, CG. Little long in the tooth. You could have trimmed some fat here and there from a script standpoint. I think, if I'm really honest, it's hard to do an indie movie without the Spielberg magic. And that's not like a slam on Mangold. It's like it's like criticizing Steph Curry for not being Michael Jordan. It's like no one's going to be Michael Jordan. No one's going to be Steven Spielberg. It's not fair to compare anybody to him, and not just on a talent and ability level, but also in a franchise that is so tied to his stylistic approach and the way he goes about it, that the second you don't have Steven Spielberg choosing the shots, making it feel a certain way. Like, I mean, you could even see, I thought about you, Curtis, that Mangold, a lot of the classic Spielberg reaction shot, right? Which is, don't always show the action, show somebody responding to the action.
Oh yeah, show someone's reaction.
Yeah, and you could tell
whatever
Mangold
sort of outlandish.
Yeah, And Mangold did a fair amount of that. It's almost like he knew that was a flavor and an ingredient that needs to be in this the indie soup to make it feel like indie. So I feel like Mangold did about as much as anyone could do to make this feel like a fun Indiana Jones movie outside of being Steven Spielberg. Do I think that this same script with Steven Spielberg would have made a movie as good as Last Crusade? Fuck no. But I do think it could have been I do think it would have been better than what we got for what it's worth.
Yeah.
It was good, but I don't think I'd watch it again. But
I'll
enjoy it.
I'll watch it. I don't watch it often, but if I'm ever doing an indie marathon, it was good enough for me that I now can skip the fourth one.
Crystal Skulls. Yeah.
This is the fourth and final indie movie. And I think that's the last thing I'll say is they did a pretty good job of making it clear that this is a goodbye indie movie.
Yeah.
And we're going to not try to reinvent the wheel just in time to sign off. And we're going to have kind of I think maybe they even got away with it not being the best movie ever made, because at some point you can't help but feel a little emotionally involved in an aging Indiana Jones, and knowing even just on a human level, we are all collectively saying goodbye to this character and these stories and Harrison Ford. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but reading the press and watching some of the things that Harrison Ford did on the press tour for this, it really almost felt like we were saying goodbye to Harrison Ford. He's not technically retiring, but it seemed like all these tearful interviews where everyone's thanking him for everything he's done.
80 years old. He's old.
Is he done with Indiana?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He's got to be.
I think they're all
they
doing
might
great.
actually continue without him.
I don't think anyone's saying that, but I'm sure if I'm sure if everyone thought it was the greatest movie ever, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge is a genuine super talent, maybe. But I think the smarter play is to just let this be a not great but solid, good final goodbye for Indiana Jones.
Sure.
Yeah,
I had fun. I didn't walk out of the theater being like,
it was fun.
You know.
I mean, all the Indiana Joneses are absolutely fucking outlandish. Like
exactly.
Every storyline is outlandish, but I think what helped with the first three movies is the outlandishness is they couldn't bring in digital technology. So for some reason, the outlandish shit felt grounded in some sort of physics.
Yeah.
So with the Crystal Skull, they were like, okay, let's go, and like that just.
Yeah,
that just didn't work at all.
No,
with this one, it felt a little bit more grounded in reality, but too digital for me. However, it's fucking great. I mean, no, it wasn't great. It was fine, and I am not mad at it.
Yeah.
No.
And Harrison Ford's a bad motherfucker.
They did a pretty good job for me of stop. It's almost like they got right to the line for where I was going to start to get pulled out. Like, for example, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, you're fucked. Just time to turn off. But when they've gone back in time and he's having that moment like, I'm gonna stay here, and you're like, no, wait a minute, Indiana Jones can't just stay here. And as soon as they're getting into all this, she did exactly what I wanted someone to do. She punched him in the fucking face, scene over, cut to black, we're back in reality. It's almost like the writers knew that we can't really do this.
I was like, please don't do this.
And it was fun the way they did it. Like that she punched him in the face is kind of like metaphorically what I wanted to start to see happening. I was like, I was kind of on board. This is kind of a fun, interesting thing. But if this scene of him talking to Archimedes or whatever the fuck it was, you know, if this goes on for another 10 minutes, this is going to get really shitty really fast. And they just like pulled the ripcord. And we're out.
Yeah, that was fucking
just in time. Like literally,
and they did some classic India. Well, I like because it was like the cool moments. You know, think back at the first Indiana Jones, and he's teaching the class, and all the girls are like gaga. And then they show this where he's teaching the class, and no one could everyone's fucking bored out of their minds. No one gives a shit. Yeah. And at the end, where it's like, where does it hurt? They did like a couple of homages. Like, I mean, so that was a cute ending.
They fucking had me on that. I know for some that'll be too sentimental, but I was fully in to that moment.
That was a great ending.
That was the right ending.
I'm glad
that
they didn't end
thing
it with
was a little long for me.
They got married back.
A good 15 minutes out of that motherfucker for me.
Yeah.
But I think everything's too long.
It was just a little long.
It was like, look, I mean, again, the formula. They just came back. Nazis. Mads Mikkelsen is another amazing actor. Like, perfect for that role. He that man was born to play a Nazi in an Indiana Jones movie. Like, he's done amazing
really
other things and will do 100 other amazing things in his career, but that motherfucker was born to play a Nazi in an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah. He had the vibe of the first Indiana Jones of the fucking arc with the homeboy with the hat and the glasses. That guy freaked me out.
I don't think he even had to act all that well, and he killed it in this movie because he just is that guy. Anyway.
Yeah, they did a great job. I have fun, man.
It was a fun movie. I'm glad I saw it.
Indiana Jones should just be fun.
Yeah.
Just a little long.
I'm sure someone would hear us say that and say, yeah, bitches, but Star Wars should just be fun too.
Right, you're right.
And it should. It should be fun. That's
my
problem.
There's a good fun and a stupid fun.
Exactly.
Let's just keep...
And I would say, agreed. It's supposed to be fun.
I agree, yes.
Fun, not shitty. And there's an important distinction between fun and shitty.
Yeah, anyway. Scooby-Doo's fun too, but it doesn't mean that you fucking make Star Wars the same tone as Scooby-Doo.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would like to see another live-action Scooby, actually.
Dude, get it going.
Get it? Forgot that they did that.
Another Garfield movie. Get Bill Murray back in the saddle with Garfield.
How the fuck
that was fucking good to get the dust, the rust knocked off the vulture.
I mean, we'll be right back at it next week. Next Wednesday.
We'll be coming back next week. Obviously, we're going to talk about the 2-episode premiere, so be sure to tune in. You know the deal. Like, subscribe, comment. It's us versus the algorithm. We appreciate you guys. If you got transmissions, send them in as always.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get someone on there who absolutely loves Ahsoka.
Yeah, we got a buddy. We got a buddy that we think we might draft because he could maybe counter some of our grandpa negativity energy.
But I think he loves Ahsoka.
Ahsoka's like one of his all-time favorite Star Wars characters.
Yeah, we actually probably should get him on there. Otherwise, it's going to be bummer.
Oh,
it might not be Bummer Town.
That's right. He might have it's a little...
Yeah. It's
maybe unhealthy.
He's blurred the lines a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Well, maybe we'll talk about that.
But I like it. But I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm into it.
All right, dudes. Curtis?
Y'all want to blow this fucking popsicle stand?
Shit, yeah.